This is going to be a look at our pass rush situations against the Dolphins, maybe 14 or 15 plays. I'm going to let the plays run and then kind of try to react to them. I think we're running a little twist here. We did a lot against the Dolphins, and their O-line handled a whole lot of it. I mean, we could talk about, Patrick Queen. He has some awareness of this route by Gesicki. It's a nice anticipation throw by Tua. Would we like our inside linebacker to react a little better? Yeah, I mean, Pepe's doing a good job on a big target, a talented guy. Find it hard to believe that Gesicki uh, was apparently in the doghouse of this staff. But one of the things that you'll notice, compare Houston to Oweh on a lot of films, is Oweh a lot of times isn't using the length of his arms. He's not using his hands as consistently as Houston is. Now, some of Houston's moves are kind of like ninja swipes or a progression of moves. So it's not just like long arming somebody or a bull rush. I didn't think that Oweh was attacking. It seemed to me as if Oweh was reacting to the tackle's move. I'm going to be pausing this a lot. Hopefully that's not annoying to you guys. I've considered using the pause button that shows you guys on the screen that we're paused. You can see that the guard has come down on Oweh. I think this is Hunt, the guy that scored a touchdown last year that was called back. I could be wrong. Has come down and knocked Oweh down. Just one of those things that happens. I would like to see more speed rushes, more dip and rips by Oweh. It doesn't seem like we have seen a ton of them. You guys can let me know what your observation is. This is an empty formation. A lot to say about it from a defensive perspective. It's 59-yard gain. Queen is just so focused on the quarterback. We get this out route by Mostert, the running back, and then Jalen Waddle brings this up the seam. We're not here to talk about Queen, to be honest with you, but we've got Harrison apexed out, so we've got base personnel on the field. Urban is at least collapsing the pocket. We're not getting anyone home enough to really, impact him. And in my opinion, like the coverage is just not sound enough, with some of these four-man rushes for us to not get picked on at the second level. Oweh is not on. Houston is on here on the left, dealing with the right tackle. Doesn't really get anything going. It seems as if Justin Houston doesn't get pressure at this point in time, we're kind of in trouble. And I think that's probably why JPP has been brought in. I mean, you could have a situation where if he gets signed, he could play on Sunday at New England 25, 30 snaps. I think sometimes, we're really trying to attack, but we seem to be stuck with Oweh. We seem to be not doing anything. So he's going to be left unblocked. Could you run right at the quarterback? Yes, you could. But then if they give it to the running back, he could maybe cut it back underneath of that rush that you just did. So there's some negatives to that. Could he run down the line of scrimmage to try to chase the running back down on a run play? Of course he could. Then that opens up the quarterback keeping it, possibly to keep it to run around the edge, or to throw a little screen out here to the side. I just don't think Oweh's doing either of those things. He kind of seems to be hesitating on everything instead of just being like shot out of a cannon because he has that ability in him. You guys can let me know if you agree or disagree. We have seen his burst before. We're just not seeing it so far because he seems to be thinking and reacting all the time and not attacking. Not an indictment of him as a player because he's capable of playing way better than this. We're just disappointed because we haven't seen it yet this year. All right, Houston on the right, Oweh on the left. And, they run this concept often where they've got the back on one side and then the H-back or tight end on the other is going to peel across and he'll either, block the edge player or try to cut him in this case. Sometimes he'll slip out into the flats. So they're creating a lot of conflict for our backside edge guy. This is one of the situations where Justin Houston just shows how athletic he is even at this age. Watch how deftly he dodges this guy who's trying to cut him and then proceeds directly to the quarterback. Offensive lineman kind of cuts down Josh Bynes. I thought we had Bynes coming on blitzes too often. I feel like he's better playing at depth. I would prefer to see him at 5 yards and reacting. This appears to be a 3rd and long situation because we're backed off pretty significantly. Houston comes unblocked, is unable to finish it, and then Hamilton with a nice hit. I thought he had 2 really encouraging tackles early in the game. We had the coverage mistakes. Watch Oweh. These are stunts that we run often. We ran last year. He's trying to dip under here. Nothing looks clean right now for him. Do I think that this will improve? Of course. He's got too much ability for it not to. Do I think that, he needs to be a little more decisive? Yeah. He's running into people and not exploding them. I mean, the way that I look at it sometimes is like you're on the football field, your coach tells you to go from A to B. And on the way from A to B, someone is in your path. You either destroy him or you don't. In this case, Owe just, it seems to be there's things happening in his field of vision. And then sometimes within a close circle, he's unable to have awareness of it until such time that the player's right on top of him. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just being young. Maybe it's worrying too much about his responsibilities. I know they've been dropping him in coverage a lot. That's just one of the things that you've got to be able to do sometimes when you play outside linebacker. I do know that we're having trouble in our nickel alignment getting pressure, and that's why we were blitzing so much later. When I say our nickel alignment, I mean 2 inside backers, 2 rush players, in this case Owe and Houston, and then 2 defensive tackles. So your typical 4-2, even though we've got Pepe up here in the box as a 7th defender, and he's capable there. I thought the Dolphins screened us a lot and, put pressure on us from the standpoint of, throwing the ball outside short, throwing over the middle, boom, go deep. One thing that's not happening is it doesn't seem like we're getting our hands up. I'm being very picky. We get to do that when we lose at home after we're up by 3 touchdowns late in the third quarter. We're not getting pressure. We're not getting our hands up. When we recognize that we're not going to get there, as good as we played against the Jets, we played just as poor this week against the Dolphins. What's the reality? Probably somewhere in between, a little bit closer to the way we played against the Jets. Good play by Odafe. He's left unblocked. I kind of like these situations where we have like Urban or Calais or somebody like that lined up over the tight end. I wonder if it's impacting our pass rush at times, but I'm okay with, we're not getting pass rush anyway. At least in this game against Miami. I think it'll be interesting for us to look back at this game. You guys we'll all be able to react to it, next week. Maybe Miami goes out there and gets blown out next week, right? And then there gets to be the boo birds who say, like, look, we ain't no good. We need to do this, this, and this. Or maybe Miami goes out there and just rolls somebody else next week. And we get to say, okay, well, maybe we're not nearly as bad as we thought we were. Again, another screen. But we'll get to look back at this eventually, week 6, week 8, week 10, and have a little bit more accurate description. Again, Owe's dropping back, and everything is just reactive. Jim, there's no attack right now in Owe. Once we can unlock that and get him attacking, he'll make some plays. He might run past the screen sometimes. This looks like it was designed for him to drop back, and there's a whole lot of helmets here, brother, for you to see, leading you out here. And he still isn't attacking. It's like he's in an unfamiliar situation or position because he's pass dropping, not something he's really going to do a ton of, hopefully. And so therefore he doesn't know how to react. Just a tough thing to watch with all the talent that he has for me right now, and tough to be this critical. 2-man rush, clearly, it's very easy for us to be critical when we only rush 2. And we don't get there. A couple of observations. Number one, there does come a time where you have to recognize, like, hey, we'd like to get more guys in coverage. And when they throw the ball up here, almost to the goalpost height, which I think is 10 foot, I just don't know who we have that's going to go up and defend that, absent Kyle Hamilton being there. That's one point. Number two, I remember when Rex did this against the Patriots, when he would only rush 2 or 3, he would just rush them from the same side. He's like, okay, if I'm not going to get pressure, I'm not going to let your guard and tackle work on my edge player here, and then your guard and tackle work on my edge player here, or maybe a chip, and then we got no pass rush at all. Am I saying that we should do that? That that's what we should do? No, but I'm just saying it's an option when you're going to run 6 and can jump out of the gym. Handful more plays. I know we're talking a little bit about coverage too. Another one, Owe just reacting. He does get to touch the quarterback. He's being left unblocked. So there is a level to which he has to read the play. He has, there's some predetermined call as to what he's supposed to do. At this point, if it were me, and I've never been anywhere near this kind of level, if it were me, we would make a tactical decision with this guy. We would say, if you're left unblocked, attack the quarterback. And then we're at least getting something out of that. Now, of course, they're going to start to run the split zone underneath of you, get the kick out block, and then, then the running back's going to wind it back under here. But we've already got problems. Defensively, at least in this game against this type of talent, we've got problems. So what we would say is we're going to let this guy attack. And then you have to be willing to live with it. That would be a suggestion. Certainly, I've never been anywhere near that level. You know, the experience that I have tells me that he looks like a guy who needs to be kind of let go a little bit. You're going to make some mistakes. You're 23. I think he's 23. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You're 23 years old. You're going to be a different player when you're 26. You'll be a different player when you're 33. We trust you. You're going to make mistakes, but we want those mistakes to be mistakes that are coming forward and being aggressive. Another example of us being unblocked and them taking advantage of us, they're creating so much indecision. It's really triple option, guys, is all it is. It's give to the running back to the other side. That's option number one. Option number two, quarterback keep it, maybe run around the edge. Now, that's not the design of the play, but that's always a possibility when there's a mesh between the quarterback and the running back. So this is just triple option from a spread platform. Option one, running back. Option two, quarterback keeping it on some type of angle like that. And then option three is the H-back running out in the flats. Again, you have to make a decision as the edge player. What are you going to do? It's easy for me to sit here and second guess. I don't think Justin Houston needs as much, what's the word? Direction. I feel like his instincts are good generally. On this particular play, we would love it if he would do what the Patriots outside linebackers do. Just take his left shoulder and put it right up underneath the chin of this guy and blast him. Why? Because the next time they run that concept, that guy's going to be a half step slower and he's going to be hesitating, looking for you. So there is something to be said for being physical, stepping down the line of scrimmage, being, quote, fundamental. I think Houston's getting sucked inside just a little bit here and not recognizing that he's got an H-back crossing his face. Pre-snap, these guys are usually looking, and it looks like Houston is. He might be looking at the ball. But pre-snap, they'll usually look across to see, do I have an H-back? And if you remember Nick Boyle, when he was active and playing for us, a lot of times he would already be looking across, kind of telling you where he was going. So just something to be said to you guys about our reactions when we're left unblocked. It puts you in conflict. It slows you down as an athlete because they're giving you multiple things to think about and blitz that we're running. We're frustrated at this point, if you ask me, because we're not getting home with 4. So again, we're dropping away. It's a 3rd and 10. I just don't know what we're getting out of this. Do this, and Tyreek Hill is to the one receiver side. What we would do sometimes is we would tell the guy, read that back. If that back flares to your side, take him, go. If that back goes to the other side, attack. And yes, we end up vacating, a space of the field that they could throw the ball onto. I offer to you that I'd rather give up. It's very easy for me to say this right now, obviously. I'd rather give up this area here than give up the amount of space that we gave up, deep. I'd rather bring an Odafe Owe as opposed to a Chuck Clark. So one of the things, just the second part of this, sometimes we'd have players on the other side of the field reading the same guy. So ready? He goes, you take him, you drop back. He crosses face, you take him, you blitz. So it's a read, and we have done some things like that before. This, to me, be insulting by saying it that way, but you can call a blitz based on the formation, and then sometimes you call the blitz before the snap while you're in the huddle, quote unquote, and then no matter what formation they were in, and clearly it didn't work out. A couple of aggressive necessarily at first. This is similar to what we had him do last year. He's jamming Gesicki and then trying to rush. And again, it's just delaying Gesicki's route, which is a positive, but it's also delaying Owe's aggressiveness. We get nothing out of him. Is he going to get to the quarterback before that ball is thrown? No, two are intentionally slowing him down. I just mean that the coaches are asking him to react in a certain way that is not allowing him to be aggressive. Even on this play here, at least he's coming downhill. This is the game-winning touchdown pass, the last play I'm going to show you. At least he's being aggressive, 3-point stance, attacking. We'll take this, right? I mean, this is what we would want him to do. We're only rushing 3, but at least we've gone vertical to the depth of the quarterback, made Tua step it up a little bit. Fine, we didn't get there. JAD left all alone with Waddle. We get beat. We understand that, but at least we're giving ourselves an opportunity for Owe to get upfield. Is that going to solve his problems? No. Is there going to be some people? I shouldn't say no. Not all of them. and there's probably going to be some people in the chat who say like, Coach doesn't know what he's talking about. I have experience with people who are having some indecisions because of multiple things being thrown at them, and you try to simplify it as best you can. It doesn't mean that the person or the player or the student is dumb at all. That's not what it means. It just means maybe as a coach, you have installed too many things in their brain for them to be responsible for, and we would be better served if we just let him attack. Of course, if we had David Ojabo, we had Tyus Bowser, Houston, Owe, all of those guys, we would be in a better situation to rotate people. Maybe you could be a little bit more aggressive if you're not playing so many snaps. Am I absolving Odafe Owe of blame? No. I'm recognizing that there's a 23 or maybe 24-year-old guy in there who has a lot of ability. It's not being shown right now. Ravens coaching staff, their job is to try to find a way to put him in better situations. I'm going to be honest with you, you might not like hearing me say this. Most of the blame that I put on some of this, I don't really put on the players, for real. To the point where they surge past us and score 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, I just think the Dolphins are a better team at that point. I just do. Just reality. If in my opinion, in my brain, if you watch the game without worrying about the color jersey or anything like that, it looks to me like the Dolphins are better than us, their offense versus our defense, based on the players we have on the field. It's a long season, guys. We get to see how Miami turns out. Miami might go 7-10. Miami might go 10-7. Miami might go 13-4. The way that this loss should be summarized doesn't get to be written now. It doesn't. Even not by me, not by you, not by anybody. It gets to be written after 17 games in the regular season, and we see, hey, they were pretty damn good. And it's no surprise that we had trouble with them. Or they go 7-10. They have real trouble, with certain things. And we're like, hey, we weren't that good either because we only go 10-7 or whatever we do. Hopefully, the point I'm trying to make there makes sense to you. You can't write your story after week 2. It's a part of your story. It's a chapter in the book. And from that chapter, we got to turn the page and we got to learn from it and try to improve and move on. And the biggest part for me is the coaches putting the players in better situations, better position, I should say, to try to make plays and match the formation that the other team is lined up in. I talk about formation probably too much, and I'm going to continue to do so because formation is where it's at in terms of preparedness, in terms of understanding the threat. And the one worry that I have is that we didn't appear on the field to really be recognizing the formation and understanding, hey, we can't run this particular coverage against this formation because they have this really special football player over there on that side of the field, and we're not allocating enough resources to him with this particular coverage. Someone defensively, the coordinator on the sideline, a player on the field needs to recognize that and get us out of that look. That's called a check, is what that's called. Checking into or out of a formation, into or out of a coverage based on formation is just what intelligent football teams do. And right now, at least from this game against Miami, we kind of resembled a wink defense that never, ever checked out of any coverage at all and consistently got exposed in big moments. Do I think we're going to get better? Yes, I do. Having said that, if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. If you didn't, let me know as well. I want feedback, positive or negative. If you enjoyed this content, if you enjoyed this video, please consider sharing it on social media because I know a lot of people want to watch stuff about the Ravens pass rush, whether it's good or bad. Appreciate you guys' time.